Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Lance
Okay, let me know if you can hear me. As soon as the show started, something was sent to my computer, and boom, and I have to be back on the phone again. This is really crazy. I started the show and everything. I'm glad you're here. You all know the deal. Whatever can go wrong will go wrong when you got a big mouth like me. So let me just see. We have to have our brother in here, Metamorphosis, and just let me know if you can hear me. And he will be coming in soon. He said 5 minutes. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for hanging in there. I got to put a permanent banner or something to explain to the new people that if something starts to be cut off, just hang tight. Let me know. Okay, good, good. You can hear good. Let me get my earpiece on. We'll be doing the show through the phone again, but we will see um, Metamorphosis' face when he comes in. And I had set up a nice banner and everything, but they want me on the cheesy side. So we'll just kick behind on the cheesy side. We'll just do it that way. And after this, I'm probably gonna go up on the roof and rattle off 50 million rooftops, because when you record something, they can't stop you with that. When you record and upload. And that's what my mission was, to do frequent work these next few days. And again, this is not going to stop Positively Angela from coming on later on, because I just started out on the phone, because it's mostly her talking anyway. And if I sound pissed, I am, because now I'm going to really come with it. See, that's the kind of person I am. I'm always going to have the last laugh. I don't care who it is or whatever. I'm not afraid to say it. But people have to find that out about me. I have the determination of a roach, And then when they find out, they want to sit around looking stupid. And go, damn, he went there. We cut this light out. Let's wait for a brother to come on in. Okay, let me see something here. Let me see. Just give me a moment, family. Let me see something. Okay. He's not here yet. So, if you listen to what we were speaking about earlier, about social media being the modern day counterintelligence program, got a couple of hate emails off of that. It's just like people just love to be stupid. I don't know. I'm not saying I know everything, but it's just like you can't even talk real in this world right now, because people really enjoy being in that place of darkness and decadence and lower vibration. I mean, and you can't even move in silence that way, because when they see or sense that you are a little different, they seek you out. What are you into? And when they find out, they don't like it. You see, a lot of people plagiarize things they hear on YouTube. I know some of those people personally. They don't have a bit of sense. And then they plagiarize these things, verbally plagiarize it. They get a little something off YouTube, say it, but they don't live it. They can't handle it. They don't have the full scope. This is why I say when we have shows, I don't go out to say I know anything. You know what I mean? I'm not claiming to be some prophet or scholar. I'm just a real dude who puts it in practice. When I make mistakes too, I check myself before I open my mouth. In the good long conversation, Brother Metamorphosis last night, that's what I was telling him. I was telling it to Brother Malik the other day, who is a well-studied brother. I'm not trying to be something I'm not, so you won't hear me kicking knowledge like these people do. You know what I mean? Yeah. We have to, and I have the ultimate answer for that soon when I pretty much get more. I can't say equipment, but I have to get some things. I have to get some gadgets that will work around that and set things up on a much simpler level and become ironclad. Let me hold this phone up and see something. I'm not sure. I see on the phone, it's a little different the way things are set up. So I have to be careful what I touch. Okay, he's not in yet. My brother, we're waiting for you. I gave him the links and everything. I'm excited to hear what he has to say. And I just want to thank you all for the support and respect and patience with these little attacks. And again, I'm not saying it's all, it could be just malfunctions and stuff, but nothing malfunctions like this all the time with the perfect timing. Maybe I'll never know. But just like me now, I'll work around the clock. They're gonna have to stay up all night. We're gonna work these agents. It could be just as simple as shooting a bullet to your internet, knocking it out like it happened earlier, whatever. But when you start talking that way, they don't want that because we're in the age of censorship. And you just go down the list here. Master Glam, you're here. Thank you. Indigo King, 1111. One cool uncle, black man in a bizarro world. That's all of us. General Mosquito, welcome, welcome. I'm just killing time, like the master ceremonies before the main person comes on in. Me, I can talk all the way around the clock. So we're waiting for Brother Metamorph to come on in. But how is everybody tonight? How is America? I'm not in America right now. We're in Accra, Ghana. I'm laying down in the bed, the window's open, and it's a nice breeze coming in. And that must sound funny to say the window's open because I know many people in America, up north especially, their windows are not open. It's all about the heat. And I've been walking around in t-shirts and shorts and whatever. Oh, I'm not showing off. I'm just saying that it's good over here that way. And I appreciate it. And I can't really, it's been a long time since I dealt with an American winter, an up north kind of thing, Oh, you have a snow day. So wait a second, where you are snowing? Wow. Wow. Okay, let's check and see if our brother's here. Because I'm going to have to be the one to let him in. No, he's not here yet. And stuff is popping up on my phone. Interesting, juicy stuff I can put a spin on. But I tell you though, it's not easy. And they're throwing so much at us right now. I mean, all this information, and they mix it up. They have the algorithm of what you like. So, if you're a techno guy, you're going to get a lot of techno things. If you're a person who likes the Hollywood gossip, you're going to get a lot of stuff like that. And don't even sign up for stuff. They really will get to know you and what you like. But right now, it's almost like they're flooding us with so much stuff. You're clicking on one thing and you're looking at one video. It might even be 10 or 15 minutes and 3 other things pop up. Boom, boom, boom. It's like, what? And so you find yourself in a place where, and this is what they desire, because I've talked to people about this and I never really found myself there, but I see what they try to do. Like I like the sport of boxing and I follow bodybuilding. Bodybuilding has become chemical warfare. So it's really a freak show. But I know people in bodybuilding still, and I follow them and, the interviews and everything. So they send all of this stuff and you have to make up your mind before you get online. Like, what do I want to view? What do I want to deal with? I can't deal with what you shove at me. I may have said that I liked it, but let me have a choice in this thing, because that sets the tone for your day. I'm not mad at anybody for picking up their phone when they first wake up. But the only thing I say is stay off of these timelines that are incestuous, like a Facebook timeline, okay? Because to me, that's like going nowhere. They're showing you what people are doing, friends or connections are doing in your inner circle, but it's not pulling you out of that. Look and find out what's going on in the world today. Learn to talk to independent sources and get a wider 360-degree view on the news on what's going on out there. Get to talk to people from different countries. They have different blogs, they have different message boards, websites, even different YouTube videos, and get in there and ask questions and come out of it. Because what the news reports to you, they have their agenda. They have their way of lying. They all work together, and they didn't anticipate this happening with social media and people talking directly or meeting directly. So now they have to come between you. And there's going to come a time, like I said, if you have to get a Google number, that Google number is something that you give out to talk to people. Get to talk to people on the phone. But I know, ladies, you just can't give your number out to anybody. You understand? Dudes will act a certain way and turn creepy, on another day. So get a Google number that you can put out there and get to talking to people directly. And that's what you need. With information, you're moving somewhere, find out information. If you're going there, what is it like? There's a certain area of expertise you want to start to study in, look over it, research while you can, get to know yourself more, what it is that you want to do. And we have a limited yet unlimited amount of energy and mentally, right? But we still have to put it on a budget. We still just can't spend it out like that and have our mind captivated because maybe, I don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong. It's not a right or wrong thing, but if you've experienced this, like for me, it's like time has been moving fast. And I know my perception of time is going to be warped a little different because I'm getting older. The older you get, the faster time feels like it's leaving or moving. You know, wow, 6 inches. Whoa. I do anything right now to kind of experience that again. Not that I miss it, but I'm just saying, you know, you get used to a certain rhythm and then boom. Yeah. But like I was saying, time is moving faster. An hour is still an hour. It's just your perception of that hour. It's like when you leave your home or your house you grew up in and you move somewhere else, you move to a different state or far away, and you don't come around that much. And that's the home you grew up in as a child, and you left as a child, and you come back, and that big house is so small and so close together, or whatever rooms were inside that you thought was so vast, right? Okay, he says he can't get on. Let me reply to him. Hold on. Hopefully I can reply to him. He's telling me he can't get on. Okay. It seems like this is one of those days. Seriously. Now, how do I do this without leaving the stream? Let me try something. Let me try something. Let me try something. If I happen, let me just tell you, if I happen to get quiet, okay, or maybe he's listening. If he's listening, let me try this. I'm going to put this in the chat room, and this is for him and him only right now, for him to come in. Okay, let me see if we can drop this in the chat room. The link that I'm sending to him, let's drop it in the chat room. Okay, hold on. Now, why is it that I can't seem to get in my own comment section? This is really weird today. Strange day. Strange day. He says he can't come in. Okay, I'm gonna try another screen. If for some reason it happens to, silence me, I'm still here. Just give me a moment to come back. Let's see what I can do. Let's see what I can do. Okay, let's see if we can try a different way. Let's see if I can get back into the show. And let me know if you can hear me. I left the screen here. I'm on my phone right now. Now he's having problems getting in. He said he tried through several different browsers and he can't get in. This is weird. Wow. So I'm going to wait and see if he can come in. I gave him the link again. It may be one of those situations where it's so so much of a challenge here. I don't understand it. I really, really don't. But you live and you learn, and I'll learn from this situation, and I'm going to make it more foolproof because this is the real deal, y'all. I'm out here in Ghana, out here in Accra, and there are a lot of people out here who are connected to those in the United States, and there's a lot of people out here who are fraudulent and they're flexing on YouTube about wanting the diasporans to come home, and we have these organizations and groups, and it's nothing different than what's in the United States. And when you kind of stay away from those factions and you have something that they want as far as reaching people, because when I first got out here, there's a lot of folks got happy LANCESCURV was in the crowd. But when you see that you can't manipulate me, it's a whole different ball game. You see what I mean? So that's what it is. Let me see. Let me hit this invite guest button. See where this takes me. Okay, it only has that. Now, we definitely have this issue. It might be where you can never just get on. I don't know what's going on. My other computer does not access the internet all of a sudden. The one that I was on the laptop, I had everything right and just wasn't working. So now I'm on the phone and I can't get him in. I just gave him the link again. Like again, I'm not defeated, but I may have to leave out and come back again. Positively Angela will be on at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I don't anticipate any problems with that because I'm going to do it straight through the phone, And she has her version and she already has a link so she can come on in. And I'm going to wait a few more minutes for him, but I don't want to take up the time that you are going to allot for him to bring what he was bringing, because he's bringing something very powerful. What I'm going to have to do probably a lot is to record a lot of the shows. I want to have the interaction, of course, but I'm going to have to maybe start recording a lot of these shows that's going to bring some substantial measure of, knowledge, and just put it up as a premiere. You can't go wrong that way. I mean, they're not going to know when I'm recording, if it is any entity out here, but they really censor you out here. The journalists, if you say something the wrong way against the government, they will come and get you and lock you up. Okay, he's telling me something here. Let me leave out of here. Okay, this is the message when I type. I'll say change your browser. Let me see if that might work. Okay. I mean, I have a lot of patience. I don't get frustrated easily. I feel it sometimes, but I'm an artist. I have all the time in the world and patience or whatever, so we can play this game, So I just told him to change his browser, and he gave me the thumbs up. Now I'm getting all of these weird entities that I don't even know on Facebook talking to me now. What the heck? They're sending me messages. Hey, how are you? What's going on? Maybe they're bots. Who knows? But they know I'm an internet gangster. I know my ins and outs. I don't say that much, but they know. They know. I'll cloak myself and reappear just as fast. Let's see if he comes in. He's going to change his browser. Let's see. Give him a few more minutes. Then he may have to restart his computer. Who knows? But something is stopping him from coming in. This is why lots of times I hate to do it, but I'll pop on a show that I knew I was going to have, but I don't want to put it out there sometimes. Sometimes you just want to pop on, and I know you want to know, when shows are coming on, but sometimes you have to do that to get these guys scrambling to come try to lock you down, because they're always out there, And from that last rush, okay, let me see what he's saying. You're waiting for what? Okay, who is this? Who are these people? Okay. Who is this? Oh, this is a person looking to make money on the site. It's like it's a real person too. Okay, let me come back to the show. Hopefully he'll get in. Yeah. And I'm good on this side on the phone, Maybe he should try. I told him to change the browser. Okay. These people are demanding, though. This is an Indian lady from India. Wrote a long note about how she watches the videos and enjoys them, but your SEO on your site may not be up to par. They fool you. I'm waiting for your reply. Look, you'll be waiting for a long time. A long time. Yeah, man, this sucks. It's been a while, so this is what everybody's going to have to hear on the replay, unfortunately. Maybe I can find a way to chop it off and re-upload it when and if he gets on. And it's really to the point where you know that this is not just a normal, whatchamacallit. Now, if I wanted to type something, I wouldn't be able to do it because I don't see the box to type it in. Some destinations won't get comments. That's strange. Okay, this lady needs to stop. Am I interested? Please. I'm just going to say no. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to be so rude. Wrong time. No, I'm not. It's crazy. Okay. I don't see him. He's not here. I haven't heard from him in 2 minutes. Let's give it another minute, and I'm going to have to shut this down. I hate to do it that way. But I don't want to waste your time either, I mean, your time is precious and everything. I do not want to waste your time. I don't want to be where when you come, okay, this must be our brother. Yes, it is. Yes, let me put him on in. Add to the stream. My brother, how are you?
Hey, brother, how you doing, man? You had to put me through a maze to get in to pass the test.
I kind of figured. And so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put you center screen so we can see your face. I had big trouble over here, the same way, getting in, and booted me out, and I had to get on the phone to operate this. So that's what I'm doing right now. So you won't see my face. I'm laying down right now. You see, so I'm just doing this to operate through the phone. I'm gonna put you center screen. I'm in the dark room, so I have my camera blocked, but yeah, I'm gonna make you center screen. I just have to know how to do this. This way. It's really crazy.
Yeah, I used another live stream studio. I had a problem getting in on one a couple of weeks ago. So it says to type it into Safari, but Safari was rejecting it, but finally let me in.
Right. Okay, let's switch this up here. Let's put this way. I want to maximize your screen more so.
Okay.
Let me see here. Let's see if this works. Maybe I have to touch the screen here, but yeah, let's just continue rapping, man, while I figure this out. So at least we got you in here,
Yeah. So I'm live streaming now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we've been live since you came in.
Oh, okay.
We got 34 people here.
Oh, great. That's wonderful, man. Well, I just want to greet everyone and say Happy New Year to those of you I haven't been able to greet. Saying hello to Brother Lance. We had a nice conversation last night.
Yeah, I was
oh yeah. I was thinking about how how crazy it is, man, in the times we live in. But you went in with the Mike Tyson Fury and knocked it out. And I was like, okay. But there's no more that needs to be said about that.
That was a show-worthy conversation.
Oh yeah.
Said, listen, let me get permission to record this. We just came out. I thought that was a bird. Is that your chair? You're in there squeaking like that?
Oh, that's my chair. You know what? That's this chair. Let me stop doing that.
I didn't even realize that.
No, it's not the parrot I told you about last night.
I know. Oh, I wish I could share my story like that, right?
Oh man, that's crazy. Well, yeah, brother, I'm glad to be on your platform again. This is a very important platform. I try to keep up. You know, you still have that bionic spirit. I try to keep up with you when I can. But you know how
Hmm.
it is. Time go by so fast now. You look up 2 or 3 hours
It does
going by, and it
so
seems
quick.
like So anyway, so I'm glad to be here to kind of follow up on what you guys have been talking about,
Right.
and it kind of took me back to something that years ago I ran across, and that's why I'm using the metaphors. As you know, nature is our greatest teacher here at the academy. So I'm using the metaphors of the spider, the bees, the parrot, and the wolf.
Yes.
And as we go along, it'll become apparent why we are using these particular insects, animal, and bird to clarify the position we're talking about. So before we get all the way down to the point where we're dealing with the pimp preachers now, I just want to I just want to give a brief history of how we got here, and this part will be the characteristic of the wolf
Right. Take your
because
time with it too. Take your time.
oh,
Take your
okay,
time.
okay, all right.
No
So
rush.
this oh, okay, okay. I know you're always busy, so I try to taper my words, but good, I'll take my time.
Take your time, brother.
So okay, so we have to go back to the time, and for all of the people that say, "Oh, well, here we go again with the slavery narrative and the plantation and this," but imagine being in a history class and never hearing about the Holocaust or the Civil War here in America.
Hmm.
And that's pretty much why we always reference our plantation life because it has been the number one shaper of our psychological, spiritual, and physical behaviors here in America. So, one of the things that happened to us, and I'll make this real brief with the Atlantic trade, slave trade, is that Africans, we, first of all, the word religion is a Roman word which means to bind. And many times we use these words without really comprehending and knowing the linguistic significance of these words. And not only the linguistic significance, but also the psychological significance they have on us. Because we are a people out of necessity who are double conscious. We have to be. You cannot survive in these systems that we have survived in for hundreds of years and not have a double consciousness.
Right.
Okay, now I think I heard Dave Chappelle one time saying that all black people um, are bipolar, okay, and are bilingual
Hmm.
because the language we speak in the general public in the classroom is to be in cahoots with the people who manipulate the language that we have been enslaved under psychologically.
Hmm.
So there's no way around that. You just have to know how to navigate it, right? So in our African spiritual consciousness, we believed in monotheism. Okay. We also believed in the supreme creator. We believed in eternal life, and we believed in some form of resurrection. And when you look back at the history of our people in antiquity, these were the concepts that were at the heart of what we believed and what we lived.
Right.
So fast forward, we get here in America now and brought in chains. Well, surely black people were here long before, but I'm talking about the Africans that came here. So once we got here, they set up a system, and the reason why I said it was a wolf because a wolf-like characteristic because no matter what the missionaries said, or the people that use the scriptures to psychologically bind our people, literally, um, they knew that we had a strong feeling towards these three areas, that we felt real strongly about the Creator. These were concepts that were already in our spirit. We felt real strongly about, having a spiritual attachment to the Creator here on the planet. And also, we believed in eternal life and resurrection. So I said that to say that these were the things that bound us to this wolf-like religion called Christianity.
Yep.
And when you look at the behavior of the wolf, they hunt in packs. So they give us this lie about the lone wolf theory, but in nature, that is not true. That is not consistent. It might be one of them to trick you to get you to where they're trying to get you to, so the pack can attack you.
Right.
But for the most part, you got all of these wolves coming at you in different stages of your existence here. So and I thought about this as well. Some of the people that were chosen, individuals who has shown some type of infinity of learning, reading, and wanting to. So you couldn't. The Bible was your only reference to read. I believe I talked to you about last night. This is why it's so important for us to keep history in its proper perspective. Okay,
Exactly.
because when Harriet Beecher Stowe, Uncle Tom's Cabin, that was written in 1852, was, other than the Bible, was the number one selling book in America for 100 years. And that's very significant. That's very significant because that book told the story of plantation life that you can't just act like it didn't exist. So these preachers, they started out with good intentions, but at the heart of what they believed was a revolutionary spirit. It had to be. And when you look back at some of the preachers that came out of that plantation life, they basically, going into the Parrot phase, just regurgitated what was taught to them. And what was taught to them was the scriptures that justified the actions of the slaveholders, where they still, even with the false perceptions of love and religion, love your neighbor as yourself, they still showed in their behavior this wolf-like behavior. And I think I was telling you about the invisible institutions that Black people have always had and had to have. They call it stealing away to Jesus, right? Well, they would gather together by a riverbank. And when you look back in history, that's consistent with how we were originally taught by the griots outside under a tree. It's something that happens, I believe that has something to do with our pineal gland when we go indoors. It's like, you ever seen these people sitting in these cathedrals like they're dead? I guess they call it a mass or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't want to use words that I don't want to use the words that they use against us to shut you down or whatever. But when they're sitting in these places, it's almost like some kind of somber type of funeral or something. There's no
like
excitement.
a tomb they're in.
Yeah, like a tomb, like they're in a tomb or something. So we know this is not consistent with nature, because in nature, that's considered in the three laws of motion the state of inertia, where we know that heat is the thing that causes everything to move. In fact, there is no definition of the word cold. Cold is just the absence of heat. So I said that to say that we as sun people, we worshiped, even the word amen comes from our worship of Amun, or the sun. We're people, children of the sun. And then we incorporate that into what was being beaten into us, because trust and believe, if you did not confess this religion, I don't care who you were beat down. And this is the wolf characteristic of religion that we don't want to talk about, because we always are caught up on this pie in the sky mentality.
Right.
But the other interesting thing that happened during this time, this indoctrination of this religion that was forced on our people, and I must say that even with all of that, they still maintain their heart chakras, because they still exhibited love, even towards the people they knew was treating them in this inhumane manner. Now, that takes a tremendous amount of strength. Okay, so this is another reason why they want to overlook this aspect of our experience on the plantations, and why they don't want young people to know how resilient we are. Because when you start talking about resiliency, then you start having to look at the scriptures in the actual light that it was meant to be when they plagiarized it. Okay, they just replaced our people, took this pseudo religion that is based on their ego, and applied it to this religion that caused us to worship a man as a god.
Right. They
So
rewired us.
oh yeah, they rewired us, and then it was a situation where it was either accept it or die, pretty much.
Right.
And that same spirit exists in us today. If you look at, this is the origin of Cooney, and this is this is the reason why why we still have these same issues. And through this, the other thing I wanted to say, to piggyback on when you were talking about the pimp preachers, how this whole thing came about is that the preachers themselves were looked upon as some type of savior by our people, because they were the ones that were actually regurgitating, like the Parrot, what the master's religion was saying.
Right.
So because they couldn't read or write, they basically operated off emotions. So that's why, if you look at some of the old, I used to think about my father, you look at some of the old ways that our preachers preach, it was very passionate. But it was passionate due to their love for their people, from the anger and the suffering on the plantation. And also, when you listen to Nat Turner talk, Nat Turner realized what they were doing, that he was being used to subdue his people with these scriptures. But what he would do is he started interjecting the truth, and that kind of got him in trouble. But my point is, at the core of Christianity, it puts us in the position of revolutionaries. It has to. Because you have to decide whether or not, and this is a bridge that our people have still not been able to cross. You can cross the Pettus Bridge physically, but psychologically, we have not crossed this bridge. And that is that a lot of people don't like this, man, but I'm going to have to say this, that we cannot be worshiping the same creator that they worship. We cannot. Now, I heard somebody say once that the most segregated hour in America is between Sundays between 11 and 12 o'clock. And yeah, yeah. I mean, because when you, the other thing too is when they had these invisible institutions, it wasn't that invisible, boy, because they could shout, sing. There's a whole bunch of, if you go back into our history and look at some of the churches, I mean, they let out all that. It was like a combustible explosion in some of these black churches. It was very emotional, you know, and it was a way to let out steam, because you're under physical oppression, and then you're under psychological oppression, because you really, by not being able to read or write this language of this religion, you really had to rely on the preacher, almost like a mini god to you, or almost in the position of how they put Jesus in that position. Okay, so this is where the savior mentality was developed, because back during that time, our preachers were literally our saviors. Some of those preachers yielded a lot of power, you know, and some of them, and so when you look at that history, and that was the only real position of power that black men could have. That's why you see, I believe it's over 35,000 different denominations in religion, which is crazy when you think about it. Okay, but moving from this wolf characteristic, where we know that we were preyed upon, brought here in chains, even those of us who were already here, we came under the same type of treatment. The millions of people that were slaughtered and murdered in the name of a religion. So this whole narrative about, and this is why I said our people suffer from double consciousness, because behind closed doors, some of them slaves wasn't feeling that religion. They was not. But the other thing too is they also dreamed about, and they heard the stories about Moses, the deliverer of his people. And this was something that our people yearned for. Now, the other problem with this, but I'm not going to go into a historical diatribe about this, but the other thing is there was no such personality named Moses. In fact, Moses is Akhenaten. Okay, even when you look at the language of Thutmosis, all of this was taken and plagiarized, because the 10 Commandments, which they made this movie with Charleston Heston, which is historically inaccurate. This personality that they created was created from the story of Akhenaten. And so this is how our people have been deceived throughout history about who these personalities are. And then we jump to, before I jump to the modern day preacher, the one that you were smacking down, so the men who were our preachers back during that time, they had a fervent love for our people that was unmatched. And I would say, if it wasn't for them, that a lot of our people would not have survived, because they could go to the slave owner and they could plead for the lives of certain slaves who were, you know, just from petty stuff. Like, even if a black man goes and steal a pack of bubble gum, you're gonna go to jail. So nothing has changed in that sense. If a slave did something that was, you know, not a part of what the rules that they were supposed to live by, they were severely beaten. And so we fast forward to today, when we moved out of off the plantation, the black people had to establish their own churches, because, again, think about the psychological torture of this. You couldn't baptize so-called black Christians in the same river as the white Christians. So imagine you here saying that you're worshiping the same God that you were given, but you can't be baptized in the same river as the people who
Tell
gave
it.
you this.
For
See,
real.
this is the type of nonsense and craziness that our people don't want to look at. They just want to just love Jesus, which in itself, there's no historical personality by that name. Again, you know I've said this 1,000 times. You probably heard it 1,000 times from other people. The letter J was created here in the Americas in the 1600s by when the Europeans came here. There was no letter J during that time. But so before I move beyond the plantation, I just wanted to make these points because, again, a lot of times our people don't talk about this and don't want to deal with the reality of this, is that there was a separate worship of the Christian God between white people and black people. And they were separated, and that practice is still going on today. Again, between 11 and 12 o'clock on Sundays. So the difference between how religion has evolved, because it truly was, even the churches back then, the difference too is that little bit of money that they collected, all of that was going towards one common goal, okay? And that was the liberation of our people. When you look at the African Episcopal Church, you see where we had to develop, based on the same religion that had us in captivity, we had to now birth some type of emotional attachment to this religion. You know, some people want to call it a slave religion. The reason why I don't is because what they call Christianity existed in Africa thousands of years. It predates all of these figures. When you go into the secular world, you have the same issue with Pythagoras and these people that they call the father of these different areas. But those people studied in Kemet, you know, for 20, 25 years. Okay, so going back to this situation where the last thing I wanted to say about this was that our people were put into a situation where they worked from sunup to sundown. They were physically exploited, which is the foundation of the wealth in America or in the Western world. 400 years of free labor, could be more. But one of the things that the church provided was it provided a safe haven. Okay, it provided a safe haven in order for them to develop some form of communication. Where now imagine how brilliant our people had to be. The only thing they had was what they were told that was in the Bible. And these figures in the Bible were larger than life. They literally looked at the figure of Moses as their redemptor. Okay, that this figure Moses has always played a big part in the religious psyche of our people. And this is why we worship so-called pastors, is because they are still looked upon as the deliverers of the suffering in our community. And they have been the biggest betrayers of our community. And it's very painful to see what has happened in the name of God or the Creator. I can remember this evangelical mentality first reared its head. People started doing what they call revivals. And everybody get riled up. They have these tent meetings or what have you. And then that was moved from that onto the television, where they had these evangelical revivals. And from that, they begin to realize, okay, we can promise based on false narratives in the scriptures that they use, that they twisted. We can use that to get people emotionally attached to a name that will allow us to become rich. And this is when they turned away, because there were people who literally believed, like I said, like my father, they believed in that, what they believed in. And because of their belief in the Creator and the good of mankind and helping to spread good news. But that message was hijacked because at its core, it never was original. It wasn't authentic. It was used to subjugate the psychological growth and development of our people, which to this day has caused a issue that we have to address. We have to address religion, because through religion, they have found a way to keep our people socially and economically at the bottom of the class system here in this country. And one of the things that they do, before I get to the modern day preachers and why they have this pimp mentality, it has to do with, if you're living in a capitalistic society, you have to have some type of cash flow. So what was found out, or what was known, I shouldn't say found out, because this was a system that was enacted and perpetrated on us by design. So this was a system that was designed in order for us to have this savior mentality. And then the only real positions that black men, even up until the 60s, again, were these pseudo preacher types, okay, that were promised status, titles, promised all kind of things if they would continue to keep our people, okay, in a position where they're emotionally attached to a name that never existed, that they continue to send all of their money to a preacher, pastor, or congregation which has been deceived to believe that this concept called tithing is some type of spiritual doorway. And this was a major deception. So the pimp personality that came out of our culture through the streets was transported into the pulpit. There's a book that I read a long time ago called Satan in the Pulpit. The other book I recommended, I think I was mentioning to you last night, is Dr. Jacob Carruthers' Intellectual Warfare. So no matter how you look at it, we have to confront these issues, because what's happening now is there is another battle that's brewing now that is one of the longest standing battles that we've had, but it's been kind of simmering under the rock, so to speak. But now that this energy is created amongst our people, and now they're making a mockery of the term we use, woke, is that basically what they're saying is that we are going to continue to crush the truth about your people, who you are, what what has happened to you, we're going to now continue to teach your children the deception that we have taught you. And you see, the thing that bothers me about our people is that we want to sit around and complain about other people, but now we are the biggest perpetuators of this same system that has kept us in a 90-degree experience when we are 360-degree beings, or 720 beings if you include our metaphysical capacity. So I want to get on page with you about this pimp preacher mentality, because what has happened in our society, money, which has no real value, but we have to use it in order to sustain what we have now, which is going to be taken away from us. Because as you can see, somebody can go and take or shut down $100 million in your bank account.
Exactly.
If that money is not attached to some type of commodity like gold or silver. You know what I mean? So you can have all the money you want in the bank, but if these entities get together and say, this is why I'm against, I know I'm jumping all over the place here, but you can say whatever you want, but if they decide today that they're gonna cause the inflation of the dollar to go up, there's nothing you can do about it. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. In other words, you can have $50,000 that can become $10,000 real quick. I mean, in less than 24 hours. This is why we have to be careful when we talk about reparations. We cannot give our people cash money. We cannot do that. Because for one, we don't have the discipline or the system set up where we can utilize that money to get assets. We have not been disciplined and taught in that area as a collective. Some of us, individually, but as a collective, we have an issue with that. So if we're talking about reparations, then we have to look at land. Because if we just get cash money, that's not going to do us any good. In fact, that's going to have us fighting against each other. You see these videos where you got our young people throwing all this money up in the air like it's, a god, or it's something valuable, or it's really not valuable at all. You can burn. Matter of fact, you can burn all of it. It really has no value.
Exactly.
At all. It does not. Our greatest resources come out of the bowels of the earth. Gold, silver, diamonds, oil. And what nature is telling us is that our greatest resources are inside of our bowels. And this is why they put these so-called pastors in positions of authority over our people, is to keep them hung up on this pie in the sky mentality and suppressing the real strength that's inside our bodies, that's inside our glands. Okay, that's a part of our neuronic makeup. So all of this worship of these false gods that have been given to us in Christianity. I'll take one of the personalities they created, Satan. Now, in the theology or the theos of our people, there's no such entity as a Satan. The word Lucifer, or son of light, has a significance in some cultures, but for the most part, again, this was a narrative that was created in order to keep our people focused on this figure called the devil. Now, mind you, the what you're really expressing is the two energies in nature is electromagnetism or positive and negative energy. Okay, which has nothing to do with no fallen angel. Okay, who has disobeyed or wanted to be like the creator. All this nonsense that's been taught to our people. We have to now start refuting this stuff because if we don't, refuting this stuff because if we don't, it's going to continue to destroy the minds of our young people. Where you got our young people wanting now to emulate these figures we call pastors or preachers, where they're saying the same exact things that have been taught to us for hundreds of years. That has proven. And the other thing you can look at is, okay, so why haven't we ascended spiritually, psychologically, and in this physical realm we're in? You can talk about physics all day long, but the reality that we're in, that we have to deal in, or the plane that we're on, we're not building anything in order to change these narratives. Okay, so this modern day personality, this preacher, they are the enemies of our people. Let's say if what you're saying about these false narratives out of the so-called scriptures that you plagiarize from the coming forth by day and by night, if you say that these things are true, then where is the evidence? Because what you're saying is that there is no manifestation of the Creator's love for us based on our experiences. Because suffering is not love, brother. So not the type of suffering that we have been through. That's not love.
I know.
A lot of people will question you and say, "Oh well, there were good white people. There were people that were called abolitionists, but for the most part, our struggle came out of our revolutionary spirits. The fact that we knew that we could not stay in slavery. But like the story that's always been told about the 1,000 snakes that show up at your door, the 1,000 wolves that show up at your door, and 100 of them are good. Well, what you gonna do? Let the other 900 in to see which one of the 100 will help you or have sympathy on you? No, because the chances are the 900 is going to overwhelm the 100, and we see that played out every day in our society. Where are you? Yeah, okay. If there are good, let's say good Christians, where are they? Why are they not in the forefront of what's happening to our people on a daily basis?
That's right.
Where are these people? Where are these people that have our people foaming at the mouth, giving all their money, quoting these scriptures that they have no idea of what they mean, and matter of fact, or where they come from? Where is the proof? Because in the creatrix system, when you plant seeds in fertile soil, they grow, right? You see the manifestation of trees, of vegetables, of the mangoes you eat, right? You see these manifestations.
Oh, yes.
We live in a world of abundance. So why is it that only 1% of the people enjoy this abundance? Something is wrong with this picture. And if you have been going to an institution for hundreds of years and praying and quoting these scriptures, where is the manifestation? Because that's against the laws of nature. Okay, and so what they call sin is a deception. The real sin is us turning our back on the laws of nature, the divine laws, and following these plagiarized beings who continue. And this is why they don't want the truth about religion taught in our schools. Now let me address this deception. Religion and education are just two sides of two wings of the same bird, two sides of the same coin. There's never been separation of church and state in our society. Okay. Now, I'm not talking about the physical buildings, because we all know it's just like the mythical First Amendment of the Constitution, free speech. There is no such thing as free speech. Because if there was, then I wouldn't have somebody penalizing me for speak, or you wouldn't have somebody penalizing you for speaking truth. That's not free speech. That's regulated speech. And there's a difference. And just like with the media and propaganda. So getting back to religion and education is that the education that's being taught and has been taught to us and our children and our ancestors is rooted in the religious concepts of Christianity. Take, for instance, the concept of morality. Morality does not exist in this country, or I dare to say in the world. There is good, or there is good actions, but there's no morality. There's only hypocrisy.
Say that again.
Yeah, there's only hypocrisy. There is no morality. The only morality that matters is if I can keep you in control psychologically, spiritually, and physically. But if you move from beyond there, you'll see real quickly that morality goes out the window. So this modern day pimp preacher that came out of the streets from our people who experienced that this type of personality puts you on a fast track to getting money, getting lots of money, because our people continue to give based on this false narrative of tithing, believing that this is going to take the chains from around your mind and your body. Because some people say, well, you're not in slavery no more. Really? You go to different parts of this country and you'll see that there are two different Americas. Okay? And the one that is at the top of the food chain are strongly Christian. But the ones that are suffering are also Christian. Now tell me what's wrong with that picture. But how is this maintained? It's maintained through a psychological ploy that these pastors and preachers, that they have put in these positions that, and I'm not going to say all of them, but a significant amount of them have been put in a position that they know that our people will always look up to, particularly our sisters. Okay, this pseudo Jesus personality, that when they come out of that pulpit, I don't know if you ever seen Dracula, but when they come down out of that pulpit, it's like what is the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde? Okay, because what they're teaching our people and what they're telling our people is not consistent with what's being done for our people in our communities. There's still no jobs. And here's the real hypocrisy with this whole religious ideology that we live under, and that these people are standing in pulpits, lying to our people about, what's going to happen or how their lives can improve based on them giving them money. It's almost at a point where it's sickening. It's sickening because we continue to see, like I was saying earlier, the manifestations of the creator creative spirit is abundance. Because as soon as you plant seeds in fertile soil, I don't care where they are, and they have the proper elements of sunshine and rain, they are going to grow. They're going to sprout. So we know this already. So why are we not growing? Why are we not sprouting? Why are our seeds still buried in the damn ground? Okay. Why can't you explain to me? Where is this figure that we have put all of our hopes on for over 300 years, that we have done everything in our power? Because there are no more fervent believers than black folks. There are no more fervent religious believers. But if we took that same energy and channeled it into something that we can build, I'm not saying not to worship the creator. I'm just saying that you have to come from under these spells that you're under that keeps you worshiping false entities and false gods. Okay. Worshiping paper money that had to be cut down from trees. That's the other thing. Whenever you have, and this is why you know that the God system that man is under and woman is under is different from the creator's system. Okay? Because anything that you have has to be produced from something in nature. So, and then there's a consequence, because when you cut down all the trees, you're messing with the ecosystem of the earth. And this is where the spider comes in at. Because when you look at how a spider captures its prey, it's totally based on deception. And it's a web that's cast widely. I was looking at a documentary where this spider cast a web all the way across a river, catching hundreds of dragonflies every day. There's no way that spider could eat all of that, even in a week. But the fact of the matter is that its web is still capturing prey, who we are, because we are in a web of lies and deceptions. And the one thing that this spider knows is when you get in that web, he's not worried, or she's not worried no more. Most of the spiders that I've seen, they don't even go back to the food right now. Because once you get in that web, you're tangling it, you're causing yourself to be entangled. Because the more you struggle and try to make sense out of something that is nonsense, the more you're going to be entrapped. And so the nature of the web that has our people entrapped is so ridiculous that sometimes when I think about it, I'm saying, okay, I know our people are intelligent, but now there has to be, you talk about voodoo or voodoo, this shit that we're under is double that. Because our people refuse, the minute you can't even have a discussion, an intelligent discussion about religion, without this emotional regurgitation, okay, coming forth that shuts any type of rational thinking down. And this happens repeatedly. It continues to happen. The other thing is when you go to these preacher pastors, they're exploiting our people. like the guy you highlighted from Brooklyn. They're exploiting our people based on the same need that goes all the way back to the plantation and us hearing about the story of Moses and this yearning for deliverance. And this relationship is being exploited today because no matter how you slice and dice it, our people are still yearning, okay, for deliverance on all levels. And so this yearning and need to be delivered from the psychological pain and suffering and the economical pain and suffering that we have been subjected to for all of these centuries. This is the catalyst, and it's a cruel thing to do to our people because you know when you come out of that pulpit, when you take that robe off, and when you close that Bible, that our people are still faced with the same issues or the same mountains that have been before us that were established by a system that was plagiarized from African spiritual systems. And because our people don't want to accept this, just the other day I heard somebody making this statement. Well, you know, we still got a lot of our people whose minds are still in Egypt. What does that mean? That's, you know, this kind of foolishness where the first thing, if I wanted to dominate you or somebody, the first thing I'm going to do is turn what you hold dear or what's the truth against you. And I'm going to make you see that in a negative light. So before our people even knew our history, okay, which goes way beyond Kemet. If you look at the Kushite culture, where basically it was the foundation of Egyptian or Kemite history, and you look at some of the concepts, spiritual concepts that came from there, you quickly realize that we didn't do what's different today, and what the English language does is the person who has the ability to manipulate words the best is often the victor. And that in itself really is how our essence, we as a people, is held captive. Because these words, yeah, it's true. Words do have power. But what type of power do they have? The power of persuasion. That is the power that it has. And so the people that have become the pastors or the ones that were entrusted with the leadership of our people, the spiritual leadership in our people, have sold us out. Again, not all of them, but the majority of them has sold us out for the bag. You know, I don't have anything against people having nice things. I like nice things. Everybody likes things. But at what cost? And how much is enough? And see, you live in a society where there is no bottom, because when you're dealing with falsehoods, it's never enough. You can never satisfy it. There's never enough, because you need things to build up this falsehood in order to trick you into believing that things are better for you. We have lots of black people with money, but that money has not translated into building any institutions of significance for our people. We still have to go to Safeway to get our food, or we still have to go to the pharmacy to get our medicine. Where the black pharmacists at? Where are the black farmers? Okay, so this is where this concept of invisible institutions really takes on its true form. That we have invisible institutions amongst our people. The problem is that we can't connect them. And so because we can't connect them and they have to stand alone, then this is where our power is really neutralized. And we have to find a way to connect all of our services together. One thing that the dominant culture does effectively, because they have access to resources, but we have access to resources as well. Again, black people are not poor. We're just poor in our mentality. And when we I think about all the emails I get, and sometimes I sign up for these different webinars or whatever, just to hear. And the whole thrust is about money. It's not about what your purpose is, why you were created. And this is why we were severed from source energy, from nature and the creative spirit. Because once you take your eyes off the prize and you begin to see something else as the prize, as our people have, worshiping materialism, and then you teach all the subsequent generations after you that this is the most valuable thing, even more than your brothers and sisters, then you are participating in the demise of your own people. I'll say something that Dr. Amos used to say all the time, that in order for something like this to happen, in order to have 80 to 90% of the world's population, 90% of the world's population be under the economic subjugation of 10% or less, maybe 7%, then out of necessity, you have to have people that participate in the demise of their own people. You have to have this. There are black people, and even more so in this day and time that we live in, because of the fact that somebody can sell you out for $100, $200. We have lost our sense of community, and we have lost our sense of who we are to each other, where your only value to another person, another black person, is what they can give you financially. Now, again, I want to be careful here because we do have to survive. Our people are under tremendous pressure. This is an area that religion can change tomorrow. If that money that they're collecting, if they said, okay, we're going to take this and build an elementary school for our kids, or, or we're going to build a farmer's market, or I'm trying to think of the word that we used to use back in the day, co-op. What's stopping you from doing that? What's interesting, I like to go around and see the different co-ops that the Chinese people set up out in different places, where they have it set up every Thursday in different places right here in San Francisco as little farmer markets or co-ops with real food. And we have to stop hating other people for working together and as a community, and not allowing religion to separate them. And here's the other thing too that is very destructive to our people. On every corner in the black community, you have two things. You have churches and you have liquor stores. Well, I would say three things. And then you have these fingernail shops or salons or whatever that have, have made a industry from our sisters. Um, and then you have the liquor stores and the churches. Now, what's significant about that is that liquor stores are, a way in which, if you want to, there are only two real things that you can have in our community. One is the liquor store and one is the church. If you try to get a money to build anything else to sustain you or sustain the community, you're going to be met with redlining. You're going to be met with, there's a lot of documentation on the fact that our people, okay, are in the same situation where they're going to purchase property that they are overbidded. Like the cost or the value of the home is brought down below what the value normally would be if it was someone of another culture. And these are documented studies that have been done. We can't refute this. This is truth. And all of this ties into religion and education. Um, One of the things that education does, and why education is really the handmaid of religion, is that it indoctrinates you and indoctrinates you into becoming something that will serve a system that is diametrically opposed to you, who you are, and what the purpose is for your life and the community in which you come from and the culture you come from is stifled. Um, once you are educated in the elementary school systems, you are educated to accept a curriculum that basically excludes the accomplishments of African Americans. It excludes the great accomplishments of some of the greatest people, not just in this country, but in the world. Um, and so this indoctrination, and I'll show the connection to religion, that once you begin to look at a certain culture of people as the originators of everything, that whose knowledge supersedes yours, but also is at the level of what you think of as a god, then subconsciously you begin to be inferior. You develop fears that come as a result of you feeling that you don't have the ability. And this is where nature comes in at, because nature teaches us that all people are equal and have the ability. When I say equal, I mean equal in the sense that you have what has been put inside of you by the creator creative spirit, just as all other people on the planet. But what happens is education teaches us, because we don't talk about, our great inventors, our scholars, our developers. We don't talk about the people who have helped to keep the woven fabric of our society from being torn apart. Many of them are black people, but because they are not thought of as the originators of anything, inventors or developers of anything, then in your mind, we cannot have a Yeshua as the person that we're looking towards. And that's a whole different subject for another day. That is deep in itself. But the point I'm trying to make is that education prepares us psychologically and subconsciously to be dominated by religion. Because now, as a subservient being, now you're looking at the fact that you have to look towards an image that's been given to you as your savior. And this is where the bees come in. The bees teach us a valuable lesson. I'll give a little quick story to show you what I'm talking about. I was working with, let's just say I was working with a work crew. And we were clearing the bushes in order to, so that a parking lot could be paved there. And we use what we call these big axes called bush axes. And long story short, I hit a tree that we were getting ready to cut up, okay? And all of a sudden, I see this black smoke cloud coming at me, and that's the last thing I remember. And I remember waking up in the hospital, and one of my guys, he looked at me, he was like, "Frazier, man, we didn't know if you would make it or not." And sure enough, the doctor told me that if it had been 30 minutes later, I might have clocked out, because then the venom from the bees would have had paralyzed me and my nervous system. And one of the guys gave me a mirror, and I looked in the mirror and I didn't even recognize my own face. That's how much those bees had stung me. And my body, they had a sheet over me because my body was like, I had to be stung by over 100 bees. And that taught me a valuable lesson in life, is that the same source where you get honey from can kill you, can actually be fatal. So on the one hand, the bees create honey, which is a sweet substance that we all like. But don't sleep on the bees, because they can kill you. And I use that as a metaphor to say that one of the things that these so-called preachers do very well is they give our people the honey. You see what I'm saying? But at the same time, they're not telling them that, okay, but this honey is created by insects that can also sting you with venom and kill you. You see? So you get one side of the story, and this is what religion does. It gives you this pie in the sky mentality. And again, these people, these pimps who are pimping our people, they keep giving them this honey. No matter how much we suffer, no matter how hard things are, and I've known people on their knees crying out to what they call crying out to the Lord. But when you get up off your knees, nothing has changed. Now, you can say whatever you want. It's like, oh, well, the Lord hears prayers. No, what the Creator has given us is greater than a prayer. We have the ability to actually manifest what we believe. Okay? But if you continue to look towards some ideology or theology and this honey drip mentality, then you're going to never be able to get up and do anything for your damn self, because you're always going to be looking and this is the thing, Brother Lance, that infuriates me when I hear black preachers doing this now, because all of them are so caught up into getting money, is that they go back to these same scriptures that, puff up. If you give some type of tithe, that there will be, first of all, what you're saying is, so you have that, I'll use it in a content and what we can relate to. So your daughter or your son, you know that they need something that's a life and death issue. Are you going to tell them they have to pay you before you can help get assistance for them? So what makes you think that you have to pay the creator who created you in order to receive something? That is the most crazy ideology I've ever heard. But guess what would happen? Guess what would happen if we boycotted tithing for just one Sunday? All black churches all across the country. See, Martin Luther King, a great man in his own right, but those people didn't give a damn about what Martin Luther King was preaching about until they boycotted their goddamn bus system. And the corporations that ran those systems started feeling that money in their pocket. Oh, then things started to happen. Before then, Martin Luther King was preaching everywhere. They was still sticking dogs and hoses on them, blowing up churches with 4 little girls. This is the history they want to hide. But I say again, if all of what you're saying is true about this religion that you have forced on our people, then where are the fruits? And I'll use one of your own scriptures that is based in hypocrisy. By their fruits you shall know them, right? That's what they say, right? Okay, well, by the fruits that we have seen, we know them. But we pretend like we don't know them. I remember it was a football game. It was a famous line. I think it was Coach Denny Green with the Minnesota Vikings. And they got beat by the Green Bay Packers this year. This was a long time ago. But he was very angry at the press conference. They said, well, Denny, what happened? Were they not, did they run the offense that you wasn't prepared for? Which was a stupid question because they prepared for weeks for these teams. He said, no, they are who we thought they were. They are exactly who we thought they were, who we prepared for, but we just did not get the job done. But our problem is that we don't want to even acknowledge who they are, what this religion is, what it has done in the name of a God. So we have a responsibility and a price to pay as well. Okay. And the type of scriptures I think about has nothing to do with this pie in the sky, honey drip mentality. Well, there are a couple of scriptures that I remember as a young person that meant a lot to me. One was out of Proverbs that says, keep your heart with all diligence because out of it comes the issues of life. That's a very true statement. That's very true. You have to watch the energies around you. You have to be careful. I often hear you talk about this. You can't let everybody in your inner circle. You have people with ulterior motives. And finally, I want to say that there is a sickness that has been produced from our people or to our people based on this schizophrenia or this double consciousness that we deal with. So when you take 2 substances and you pour them together, it creates a third substance, right? So this is what has happened with our people. You've taken our original African spiritual customs. You have infused it with a lie, that a religion that was based on lies, deception, and as I believe it was George G.M. James who was assassinated for writing his book, A Stolen Legacy, a Ghanaian. I'm sure you know about George G.M. James. And he wrote a brilliant book called Stolen Legacy. But this legacy that our people refuse to acknowledge and want to keep this emotional attachment to these idols and this religion that was beaten into them. This is our demise. It has been our demise. The sad part about it is the church is the one institution that has always been and still can be the source of our greatest economic achievements. But what has got to happen with the church is we have got to remove these people who are like the parrot, regurgitating these lies, feeding our people these false narratives. Okay, this is why young people don't go to these churches. A lot of black men don't go. Mainly, the black churches are made up of black women because our sisters, at the root of their chakras, they hold the key to how we are going to be emancipated from this ideology. And if you, and I say that to say, if they would start infusing into these preachings the truth, eventually our sisters would disconnect with this emotional attachment with this mythical figure called Jesus. But they don't have anything else to hold on to, is because the so-called man of God is still telling them these lies. And so when you continue to do this, now, brother, I love gospel music. One of the things that I recognize is that the things that are in your roots, okay, you have to comprehend them. And the thing that I love about gospel music, aside from the religious ideology associated with it, is when you really felt the pain, the soul of our people. Like one of our great historians, Lerone Bennett Jr., speaks about, there is a river that runs through us. We are water beings, and we are connected to this energy. But this energy has been hijacked and it has been blocked by ideologies, okay, that were given to us strictly, primarily to block us from walking in truth, brother. From walking in truth. So let me charge my phone a little more so I can have some juice here.
Oh yeah, man, you put it down good today, as always.
Yeah,
as
yeah,
always.
brother. I mean, you know, when you said take my time, I felt like, okay, yeah.
No rush. This is good.
We need to dissect this beast that is our people are still in the bowels of, and using their own ideology. You take this story where they talk about Jonah in the belly of the whale. Well, who do you think that is? See, these same stories that they are plagiarized really has significance. And it has significance because the people who plagiarize them established them to keep you in bondage. And this is the whole purpose for why it was created and given to you. But again, we refuse. It's almost like some type of sacrilegious ceremony when we destruct these concepts that have been at the core of our destruction. And I really believe this wholeheartedly. When I look at our children, I look at my own son, my oldest son, and I look at the other kids who had to grow up in the hells of North America, that religion to them, and that's why they say that's a white man's religion, because not knowing that these concepts were given to us or has been in existence for thousands of years by our people, thousands of years, tens of thousands of years. In fact, there is a religion out of ancient Somalia and East Africa called Ebewa. I think I mentioned them on one of the shows we did before.
Okay, I think he eventually died out because he said that he had to put some more juice on the phone. So let's wait and see. Well, I know he will come back, but let's just take our time and give him some time to come back. But sitting here listening to Brother Neil, in the rhythm and the pace at which he dispersed this information, it's just so soothing. Yes, we know many of these things, but the way he breaks it down is just fabulous. You know, many of us, we like our chicken, we like our rice, potatoes, but different people can prepare that meal in different ways, and you will consume it in a way where you say, oh man, I've never had anything like this before in my life. It doesn't mean that you're disrespecting all those prior who made the same meal, but the way it's presented, the way that it tastes, it has its own unique flavor. So this is why I love to have variety on the platform, because just like you're sitting here and reaffirming what you know to be the truth, it's the same thing when you have someone prepare that meal of truth in a different way. It stirs you up with what you know, and it gives you a different perspective on something that you already knew, but you may have some parts of it that you didn't know. And if you did know it, you have a different perspective and a way to absorb it, because variety is a very good thing. We can't eat one thing and get the total spectrum of nutrition. We have to have a variety. So if I say something in my limited studies and limited resources, you know, it's better to have someone else come in. Yes, Kofi, it definitely is. And oh, trust me, D. Griffin, I'm quite sure many pastors hear this stuff. Listen, it's about the platform. It's not about me, but many people across the board have dropped my name. And again, this is not egotistical. It's because when you say LANCESCURV or SCURV, it means the total platform and all who have come in the name of truth. And that's what it comes to represent. Yes, we have our decadent nights or comedy nights. We laugh in the trenches, but I can hear this all day. I can listen to this all day long. You see the mood that I'm in, how I'm talking, I'm relaxed. Mr. SCURV gave me a huge plate of good food. I'm sitting here listening to it and eating and just relaxing, plotting the next few shows coming up in the next few days. It put me in a certain place. You know, to hear this and say it's like a bedtime story, which is not merely that, but if you were to listen to stuff like this right before you go to bed and just let it absorb into your subconscious mind to, you know, reaffirm things you already know. I'm quite sure everyone here listening can speak in a similar manner, whether you consider yourself to be a speaker or not. But it does get out there. It does get out there. You know, for all of the videos put out, and you'll see some that get a little hits more than the other. the bottom line, there are a lot of people who listen who don't want to comment. There are a lot of people who listen who, when they reflect on what is said, not necessarily from me, yes, here's our brother back again. I knew it. Let me let my brother on in, and we're going to continue.
Hey, man.
Yes.
Hey, sorry, brother Lance.
You ran out of power, brother.
Sometimes I get, I get so caught up, I forget about charging the phone.
But don't worry about that. We're waiting on you, and we knew that. And if you can see the comment section, everyone was saying how they're loving the conversation. They're loving how you're dishing everything out. And I made the analogy that if you like chicken and rice, you know, when somebody else makes it who can make it in a very unique way, you love it all over again and say, oh my God. It doesn't mean you don't like the prior person who made you the meal.
True.
That one is that good. And of course,
absolutely.
What you're saying, many here already know, but the way you're putting the twist on it, it's like, I'm reabsorbing this all over again and enhancing what you already know. And just think of all the people who don't know, who can't frame it together. This is very stimulating, brother. So continue on.
Great, man. I'm glad.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So you know I love
and I know you tired, Brother Lance. I know you tired. That's why I always say you're a bionic man. You have to be, man. No, it ain't possible for a human being to do what you do, man, and not get no sleep. Unless it's something in those mangoes in Ghana, man. You need to shoot me some of them over here, brother. For real.
Yeah, but let me tell you something before we get, this will be a little commercial break, but I really love doing this. I really love doing every aspect of it. If it's the graphics, the writing, I'm setting up the shows, calling up people, getting them on and saying, hey, we're going to do it this day and making the banner. I didn't have a chance to make the banner. Let me just tell you something, how the evil forces of the world can work. For some reason, like I had a problem with the show that I did earlier. I had to get on the phone. I have a problem with this one because the main computer didn't pick up the internet, right? It didn't have the internet. I had to go on my other computer, my laptop, that sometimes because of the dust that has gotten into it, because of the dust season out here, it makes this big loud noise. And I was like, this thing is quiet. I'm going to have to shift everything over here. And then all of a sudden that started to give me problems. So I said, you know what? In the first, maybe before you came on, I was fidgeting to get on the phone. So
I know that feeling.
Like obstacles like that, but even the obstacles I'm ready for. And like I said, I love doing this so much. This is nothing I can burn out from. Yes, I have a human body, and sometimes I get fatigued, but I meter everything out. I got some more content to put up. I got, man, I feel so good. I got so much content. I couldn't even do it all tonight, but I'm gonna try.
That's great, brother. So, You know, but and the people that are contributing to your platform are all doing a tremendous job, because one of the tricks too of this system is to make us think. Now, we're individuals, right? We all have separate seeds, like the mangoes, right? But somehow we all have to be speaking the same thing. Like you said, it's all the same knowledge, but we have to bring our individual interpretation and comprehension, which is unique in itself. It's all the same information, bro. It's nobody that knows more than you know. So
the beauty of it is this. If you have a model in the middle of the room and a bunch of artists around that model drawing that same model, you're going to have a different perspective because they all stand in a different place. So you get to see that object or that model in a different light. And so that next person's perspective enhances your own. So you can add on to what you already know by absorbing that different perspective. And this is why I like to have different perspectives. And also, sometimes we will see a person who is great in their perspective, but they're in their infancy in their walk. So you will hear them, and maybe they may use a few spicy words, but you have to look past that because you have to look at where they came from and what their walk has been. But then over the years, as you listen to different individuals, you see them coming into their own, ascending and getting better. So when we see something in the present sometime, we can't just write it off because, oh, you cuss too much or you dress this way or whatever. Me personally,
now see what you just said, Lance. Excuse me, I didn't mean to cut you off, but what you just said is so significant. Simply because what has been taken away from us is the principle of delayed gratification. And in nature, there is germination processes that are different. There are different stages of germination. This is why we have to understand and comprehend that there are people that are supposed to be in our lives for a specific purpose. For that, nothing is forever, brother. This is another lie that they give to us. You know, if you have a spouse or if you have a friend or any person that you have had to move on from, then that means that, like the leaves shed their leaves every year, that it's time to shed that. It doesn't mean that anything's wrong or something's wrong with them. It's just a germination period now has manifested. So go ahead, brother. I just wanted to say that because I didn't want to.
Oh, no. That's the truth. And see, we all develop at different rates. So we can't expect one person that we just met that didn't have the proper stimulation to grow like maybe we have. Maybe we had a supportive upbringing and are advanced at a certain age over that one who had to fight to survive just to go to school, going to school hungry, being made fun of, you know, having these hang-ups that are put on them because of their upbringing, whereas maybe me, I had a protective, loving home. So now I've seen people which they appear to be living in decadence in their ways, and they live to 30, 35, and by the time they're 40, they shot up past the other people who are looking down at them. So you have to understand that.
That's a good analogy. Yeah.
Every corn in the bag of popcorn doesn't pop at the same rate. You know what I mean?
They pop at all.
At some point, and you bite down on it, your tooth finds out.
Okay, for real. Some of them don't pop. For real.
I don't want to be the one that doesn't pop, but understand you'll have that one that pops as soon as you take it out the microwave. A late bloomer, but they some pop quick, some pop with the crowd. And as soon as you pull it out, push the last one, and you see the ones that didn't. Don't be the corn that didn't pop. So I'm gonna mute myself right now again. I'm gonna have you carry on, brother, and take your time. No, I'm not tired. Mr. SCURV just fed me a big plate of food, and
oh man,
I'm ready to go. So just relax yourself and just let it flow.
Okay.
Take your time.
Okay, well I'm plugged in now, so I'm good.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Go ahead.
So where was I? That's the only problem about getting old. You have to think real hard about where you were, what you talking about, what place you was at. You know.
No. Don't say it's getting old. You just have a vast storehouse of knowledge, and it takes time to go through every aisle to find it.
I like that.
If a person, and I hate to use the word idiot, but if a person's an idiot, they find there's not much to choose from. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Okay. So I want to go back to one of the things that happens as a result of what nature teaches us is when you have two substances and you combine those two substances, that you create a third substance. And I was thinking about years ago, I was reading a book, and it talked about how we are at the molecular level and how we make decisions, that sometimes the decisions are already made, but you still can choose a different course. I'll give you an example. When they did a study where they studied the two energies that flow in our brains when we make decisions. And it was almost like there were two different rivers flowing, and then when your internal energy starts to flow towards one area, that area starts to crystallize. And what that tells us is you always have the ability to change course. Once you, and this is something that is, particularly when it comes to religion, is hard for our people to do. And we have, just like people in your chat room, we have brilliant people. But we have a what they call it an eternal uh, enemy. I don't like the word enemy, but an internal foe, and that foe represents all of the energies that were given to us that created fear um, and inferiority. And each time we go down these two decisions, we crystallize the thing that has been given to us out of fear of going into the unknown. Now, I've used this analogy with you before. I think it was on our first video, where there are three things that we experience. There is the known known, there is the known unknown, and then there is the unknown unknown. So there are the things that we don't know. So, we don't know how many stars there are in the sky, in the universe. We don't know. They say that different planets exist. Yeah, okay. But what are they? Who's on these planets? So there are things that we know we don't know. Then there is the things that we know that we don't know. Okay, the known unknown. Okay, whereas there are things that we know that exist that we have no comprehension of. It's just like out of our sight. We can't, there are things that we call mysteries that we can't solve simply because of the way that we're hardwired. And then the third one, which is very significant for our people, is the unknown unknown. Now, when you look at, they call it dark matter energy, but we know that the universe is mainly comprised of melanin. When a baby is born, the egg and the sperm both contains melanin. And I like to use a term that I got from our brother Tony Browder. There's a melanin explosion, and at that level, all things contain melanin. So whatever this deception, giving another example, you have these people that they call what is it? Ancient alien theorists. Okay, so in other words, I've never communicated with the alien. Okay, I've never seen an alien. Okay, but yet I have a theory that you're supposed to accept as being legitimate, simply because you have these people that they say have some type of special ability that we don't have to interpret this. So it's easier and every time I watch one of these History Channel documentaries, it becomes clear, brother, why they don't want our history told. Because how can you justify? So in other words, you would rather say that a damn alien created the knowledge in Kemet rather than admit that it was an ancient black civilization. And see, these are the types of things that we are confronted with, that we must now have the courage to challenge outright. Not only challenge them on media platforms, but to put together and develop our own curriculums that address our specific issues. Because let's go back, and I just wanted to briefly mention this fact that they're always stigmatizing our kids, saying what they're not, what they can't do. Like the when Malcolm, one of his teachers, said, "That's not a good profession for a nigger." You know, you have to look at something that's realistic. And so these are the types, when you look at the areas in which our kids have been pigeonholed, rappers, and even they use them to use self-destruction on our people, mainly because of the false illusion that money changes things. Oh, it does to a degree, but you're going to be isolated from your people when you use that platform that was given to you by the creator creative spirit to degrade the original peoples of the planet, your own people, and then to accept. So again, when I look at the Bible, the scriptures I see are good parallels as to why our people need to get away from these type of teachings. um, it's just like when so-called Judas sold Jesus for a bag of silver. It's the same thing these preachers are doing. They have made the decision to exploit our people and to be, they have a legal term that you can get charged for the same crime that someone that you're with. You could be with them innocently. Okay. Guilt by association or accessory, after the fact or before the fact. But when it comes to us applying these principles to the things that are being used to oppress us, we somehow get some type of amnesia, or we somehow can't see this in the same light that it's being presented to us. Now, again, uh, the scriptures in itself, even any book in itself, is not where the power of that script is. You know, people will, oh, that book or this book, because we've been indoctrinated that words that are written on paper literally have some type of power over us to change our condition. But it's not the words, it's the actions associated with the words. And again, I go back to the three laws of motion. The first one is inertia, and that means that nothing happens without any type of motion. It's dead. Okay. The reason why this doesn't apply to you is because you have an open pineal gland. Okay. The system that you're operating under was constructed by people with a calcified pineal gland. Now, you know, people get upset with genetics and science. I'm not the creator. I'm certainly not the creatrix. So when we talk about these things, they don't even want us to talk about the truth of the creator. This is insanity. So this is why nature is our greatest teacher, and why we must get back to teaching our children through the lessons of nature, as we do with the cocoon experience and the metamorphosis, is that we are at a time now, and there is an appointed time for all things. That's what I believe. If you allow this time to pass, then you are going to suffer the consequences of turning your back on the creator of the universe. I don't care what nobody tells you about sin and all these other deceptions that have been given to you about this mythical creature with horns and a tail and a pitchfork. It's time out for this foolishness. Okay, because we are living our heaven and hell right here on the earth. Now, we're going to transition. We're going to recycle our spirit. Our energy is going to recycle, for lack of a better term. So, you thinking that you have to follow a specific type of theology or ideology in order, because when you transition, your spirit is eternal. Okay? But heaven and hell that you experience on this earth is a state of consciousness. And when this was being said in the Bible by Jesus, you do not want to accept what he's saying. You want, in fact, the calcified version of it keeps you from seeing the truth, which is basically the Son of Man is basically the SUN. Okay, and that whole narrative about the 25th of December, that's based on astrotheology. Okay, so when the sun disappears literally in the southern hemisphere for 3 days, I'm sorry, the northern hemisphere, and then rises again where we were able to see it again. Well, in our mind, as a spiritual people and being the originators of natural concepts, we knew this meant some form of resurrection because the sun, again, our people believed in a moon, which we use the word amen today. Okay, so there are a lot of things, a lot of falsities that we have been taught. And I always say we because I was indoctrinated by this. This is why I have such a good understanding of how this has been used against our people because it was used against me. And the other thing I want to say about that is, in fairness to our people, and I'm talking about our people who couldn't read or write, okay, because now there's no excuse for this ignorance. There literally is no excuse for it. But in fairness to them, they had to accept a lot of these teachings simply because there was no other alternative for them. Now imagine that they didn't have any other alternative. I mean, even Harriet Beecher still had to be read to them. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just saying that when you put our people in the position that they were in and the conditions under which they had to learn, they did a amazing transformation. And this is what has frightened those that know the truth and that have subjugated us to the lowest class of existence in this society. They know that you are the real people that have been talked about in all the cultures in antiquity. Even your Bible was written about. They know this. They've been to Kemet. They have seen the Medu Neter, or what you call the hieroglyphics. I'll give you a small example. A couple of things that have been done. We know that in the universe, the number 3, 6, and 9 are the most significant codes in the universe. And in all cultures, the letter 3 has tremendous power. It has a spiritual connotation to it. So when they went and they first looked at the Medu Neter, they begin to look at the fact that this geometrical, these three figures, these three numbers or figures um, that were used to explain a concept was used throughout all of the writings. And it was one of the first geometric figures that they have ever seen. Because remember now, um, the history of the people that brought us Christianity did not have the knowledge that we have. That was created out of the Egyptian mystery system when they first came upon it. And I think I told you before what happened when they first came upon the Great Black Lands that they subdued was that they saw the throne, and the bearded man, the throne, and I believe the other one was the sun. But they saw these three characters and they perceived, okay, that this had great significance, and they were right. When you look at how the triangle, which is our great ancient symbol from our ancestors that was given to us, we know because they built the pyramids. And this geometrical figure was also aligned with Orion's belt. So when they saw, this is where, as above, so below, the law of correspondence comes from, is that our ancestors mapped out the skies. They were the first astronomers. We know the story of the Dogon. So they have hijacked our symbols to turn it into something, this nonsense about Illuminati. That is not that symbol of the triangle is a very sacred part of who we are. And then when they came with the Pythagoras theorem of a square equals b square. I mean, a square plus b square equals c square, or the right triangle. This is another concept that they got from our people. So again, what we're faced with is we're faced with a decision like those two rivers and the one that we accept in our neuronic makeup crystallizes. Now, why does it continue to crystallize in religion and education? Why do we continue to choose something that has been the destruction of our civilization? You can go back and read Chancellor Williams' The Destruction of Civilization. Why is it, or what is it? And I say to people all the time, okay, that's fine. You can go into church and shout and give them all your money and do all these things. But tell the kids the truth, man. Okay, they deserve to know the truth. This is why they came up with this concept about critical race theory. No, what they want to do is they don't want the young, not just young black and brown people, they don't want young white people. See, and here's the other hypocrisy in the system that we're in. When you go to a therapist, the therapist, they're going to want to see your medical history. They want to see your family history. Is anybody in your family ever been diagnosed as being crazy or having a mental health issue? They want to see all of this. So everything has to be put on the table. So then now, why is it if you're talking, this is why I don't listen to politicians. How are you going to heal the country or just heal the district that you're supposed to be representing when you're denying the very truth? There is no deliverance without dealing with the source problem. If you never acknowledge that, there will be no healing from that. Okay? So these are the types of psychosocial issues that we wrestle with simply because we don't want to fight. We just want to say, okay, well, let somebody else think about these issues. No, you are not going to escape this battle, this war. You are not going to escape it. And so I'll go back to another scripture that they use. And again, it's our failure to interpret these scriptures based on our reality that has crippled us. Okay. Our people perish for lack of knowledge and vision. That's true. That knowledge and vision is not from another person standing in a pulpit or wherever they're standing. That knowledge and purpose is already in you, and all you have to do is acknowledge it. Put it in motion. Okay. The second law of motion, force equals mass. How much force and how many people are you going to bring to put mass behind what you're doing? And then the third law of motion, which is probably the most critical for you to comprehend when it comes to religious oppression, is equal and opposite. And those are two very important words. Because the third law of thermodynamics tells us, okay, that there is a equal and opposite force that is equivalent to whatever positive action you are taking, but it's going in the opposite direction. Now that's very important. And so this law of nature or physics we have given to this figure called Satan. It has nothing to do with that. Now, evil does exist, but evil and Satan is not the same thing, at least not the way that you have been taught. When I look at evil, I look at it as an influence. I don't look at it as having any physical properties or even having any spiritual properties for that matter. It's all psychological. Oh, the devil made me do it. You see. So this is something that religion has brought forth too out of our psyche, is that we're not good enough, or we're sinners, or we have to repent, or all of these things that has some type of negative psychological connotation where you feel like you okay are the person that has to oh no, let me say it this way, that you are not the person that's in control of what happens to your life. Now, granted, there is a control mechanism. What I'm talking about is your way of thinking. Okay, because so if you're thinking that anytime something negative happens, it's the devil, then you're defeating the whole purpose for which nature intended it to be. And that's based on the law of relativity or the law of divine testing. Okay. So we are tested in nature for a purpose. That's why I love the illustration that I use of the mountain and the valley. There's a purpose for a mountain and a valley. We know that you can overcome the mountain because people have climbed to the summit of some of the highest mountains on the planet. We know this is possible. And if it's physically possible, then it's also psychologically possible. With the valley, we know that when you're in a valley, psychologically that's thought of as being, depressed or deprived or having an impossible task before you. All of these things that are associated with non forward motion. So, all of these things are tied in together. That's why I say education and religion are, two wings of the same bird. Okay, the two wings of the same bird. Because no matter how you look, when you begin to look at nature, you have all your answers. You have all of your answers. Again, the original concepts that were observed by our ancestors, that was written in stone, they were the original, because you can't have language without concepts. Okay. And so I'm going to refute something that now it's some big argument, even though they know the truth. When you look at ancient cultures or the development of early languages, uh, look at the word. They described black people in their languages, in Greek and Latin. The word mela or a melis or a melon, that word meant black. And that word was written in the Latin language, in the Greek language. So they know that the ancient people of antiquity were black people. This is not debatable amongst people who have researched the truth. This is a known fact. So let's fast forward now. Again, we've gone through our history before we came to the shores of America. We've gone through our plantation life here, okay, and how we were affected by religion, what that religion established in our psyche. You talk about PTSD. This is a serious trauma that still comes down to us today. Now, today we're going to go back in today's religious experiences. We're going to go back to the spider and the web because the spider knows that you're never going to get out of that web. That once you get in that web, you're trapped. And this is where I have an issue with our so-called preachers. You know that there is no honey in the sky and that there is no honey on the planet that's going to deliver our people without us building something and doing for self. You know this. But yet, and if you don't know this, then you don't need to be doing what you're doing. We're tired of the deception of our people. Now, the other part of this is our people have got to shed the leaves of this, okay, this unrighteous knowledge. We have to shed the leaves of it, okay, and you also have to shed the skin. There are animals that shed their skin for a reason. If you don't do that, if you decide to pass this down to another generation, then you are the one that's hammering the nail in the coffin. Not the kids. Don't blame them. Don't go around saying how bad our kids are because they are a product of what has been given to them. So when you want to demonize our young black men or young black women for that matter, then you also are going to have to demonize yourself because we bear a specific burden. This is why the oral tradition was so strong amongst our people, even in religion. They pass down these songs: "Swing Low, Sweet Chariot," "Coming for to Carry Me Home," because our people have always associated the love and the sweetness of the creator creative spirit towards their created being. They've associated this love with being able to transition out of the hell that we were living in. And see, the way that you are taught these scriptures is what's really binding. Again, if you go back to the Roman definition of religion, which they created when Constantine at the Nicene Council decided that they were going to use this image of Jesus when they clearly knew the image of Yeshua. Okay, they clearly knew this. The Coptic Church, they knew, and in fact, that's where they got a lot of their knowledge from. So again, this spider's web casts a net that's at least 2,000 to 1,500 years old. And it's all intertwined with education. And that's why I want to get to the point that there is no such thing as separation of church and state. The concepts and where you have been tricked, the same concepts involved in educating our children is also used in the indoctrination in religion. Because see, when we look at language, we look at, you know, how good a person sounds, um, how articulate they are, or how much of what you call knowledge do they have. When, as we were saying earlier, it's all the same knowledge, okay? It's the way you want to perceive this knowledge. And the last point about this is one of the major reasons I've found out that our people do not want to confront these religious concepts that continue to hold us as slaves mentally is because this emotional attachment you have is suddenly going to go away. And because we have this great emotional need that came out of the pain and suffering of our people, there is a river, okay? And this river came all the way from the shores of Africa, West Africa. It stopped in the Caribbean. The pain was distributed there in Jamaica, in Haiti, or Hispaniola, as it was known at that time. And that pain and suffering was carried literally through the river, psychologically, spiritually, and physically on that ocean where there was lots of pain and death. And our people brought these concepts to the shore, and they were confronted by Willie the Wolf. And that wolf mentality, that prison, school to prison pipeline that Dr. Amos used to always talk about, is in full effect. And all you have to do is look at the things, or as they say again, I like to use your scriptures so you can see the hypocrisy in what's being done to you, or what has been done to you. You have itching ears. You have itching ears. You want to hear something that's going to stimulate your psyche. Like little kids, we have been put in that position. And I'm not demonizing our sisters, black men have been put in this position too. So collectively now, we must work together. The other thing we have to do, stop doing, and religion is directly responsible for this major issue that we suffer when it comes to socioeconomics. If I don't like the politics in one church, I can go to another. It's not based on whether or not the creatrix spirit is affecting our lives. It's based on the people or the social politics within that particular church and denomination. And if you don't believe it, enroll in one of these churches and then try to go to another one and see what happens. They interrogate you like you're in an FBI interrogation. They want to know everything about you. Whereas the way it should be, if you go into a building, you don't have to answer to anybody. If it's truly the definition of a sanctuary, why do I need to talk to you? If you're saying that the Spirit of the Lord abides in this sanctuary, then why is it necessary for me to go through another man or a woman to reach that? Okay, and I can use nature to give you an example of that. If you use a conduit like gold or any type of conduit that electricity can go through, okay, you're connected directly to the source. If you're gold, which you are, bronze, gold, okay, you are the greatest conductor of this energy. What you have done is you have replaced your gold, your conductor that can get the source of energy directly from source energy, and you have replaced this with a God that's usually defined to you by a man or a woman. Okay. And so these are practical things that we want to think about. We have to begin as a think tank to discuss. Um, I'm not saying that we shouldn't be aware and dealing with other social issues that affect us. Yeah, we should. We should. I'm just saying we shouldn't give 100% of our energy to that. And that's a form of therapy for us. I'm grateful for people like Lance who has the ability to toggle between those. You have to, because you can't continue to talk about things that are detrimental to us without releasing some laughter in your spirit, because it can overwhelm you. But the point I wanted to make about religion and now how we must move forward in confronting this beast is that when you look at what your purpose in life is, and all of us can agree with the fact that every single person that was created was given a gift, and that gift was given for a purpose. The thing that I wanted to explain about one of the major things that religion has done to keep us divided and separated is the fact that you have all these denominations, the fact that you have all these churches. If you go to a synagogue, that might be the only one in that city. All of their money is going to that one building, to one people and their goal, to one bank source, and then they can take care of everybody in their community. They can help build things that they need to build. But what religion has done to Black people is fragmented us. Number one, there was a lot of jealousy towards these pastor preacher figures as well, because we are hung up on titles. This is what was given to us for our own self-worth. Then we become envious, is a better word than jealous, because when you're envious of something, that means that you want to replace whatever that thing that you're envious of. in terms of you wanting to be in the spotlight that that person with their gift deserves to be in. Your spotlight is something different. You don't have to take the spot. And see, this is what has happened to our people while we're killing each other in all kind of ways. Is that because we are given certain titles to build up our egos and our self-worth, then religion, if you're, I remember in the church hierarchy, a deacon or a minister or a pastor, or and then the people who were just the regular worshipers were treated like they were, less than important. And I get that. That comes out of how our hierarchy and our class system is set up. That's why I say that they are both one and the same. Even in our educational field, um, you can have some of the most brilliant people I've ever met don't have degrees. Okay, so we have to take a look at. I'm not saying that people with degrees or without degrees, we have to find a way to work together. So the point I wanted to make was the division, the divide and conquer, that has always been used against us. Is if we're sitting in a room together and you have people from different denominations or theologies or ideologies, well, they don't even have to be they just from different churches. For Black people, we are not going to be able to get anything done in that room. And that is the saddest part, because what religion has done is taken away the fact that each one of us are creators and creatrixes. So when we're sitting in a room, I don't have to see or agree with you. And this is the other thing. This is why you're put in a 90-degree way of existence, or a calcified way of existence, because it cuts off your pineal gland. You can't see anything beyond that 90-degree system. So the person, another Black person that's representing some aspect of that 90-degree system, you're going to be opposed to them if they're not thinking on the same way, thinking the same way that you're thinking. Rather than saying, aha, we have 5 Black people in this room, each one of them have something significant to bring to the table. It may not be perceived as something more important than what I bring to the table, but it's just as important. Case in point, again, all we have to do is look at nature. What if the feet got envious of the arms and said, well, you know what? You ain't walking nowhere today. Let the arms do it. Let the arms take you there. Okay, you're going to have a problem. So even in our own bodies, we were designed for things to work together, even though they're not connected together. Okay, um, there's a good there was a good study done called the phantom limb, where people who had lost their limbs or arms, say, or a leg, still sometimes felt psychologically that that limb was still attached to them. It's called, go research it. It's called phantom limb theory, where the same feelings that are associated with your arm, if you lost your arm, are still there. And why is that? So we have to begin to now become, um, go back to when we were thinkers, and you would have 10 or 12 of our ancestors sitting around a table, each one of them with a special gift. This is why our businesses can't grow. You're more concerned with how much money I'm going to make, or how much money Lance is going to make. Even if it's peanuts, you still, and see, this is, if you just look at what religion has taught you, Love your neighbor as yourself. That is the most asinine statement I have ever heard. That is literally impossible in this system that we live in. We compete against our neighbors. There's no way you could love your neighbor as yourself. It's just no way. I don't care how much many times you say Jesus. It's not going to happen. So this is where we have to start. Okay. I don't care what your religion is. Okay. That's immaterial to me, and it should be immaterial to you. We have to start looking at people based on their chakras. Okay. And this is how we need to communicate with each other. All of us are not the same. There are things that you may feel strongly about that I disagree strongly about, and vice versa. But that is not the most significant thing involved here. The most significant thing is that we both reach a level of consciousness where not only are we able to grow as individuals, but we are collectively helping each other grow as individuals. Religion has caused this envious uh, behavior or mentality, and the jealousy that now jealousy comes as a result of just somebody having something that you know makes you feel that you're less than them. So you're jealous of them because of the gift that they have or whatever they're doing. Okay, which makes no sense at all because no two seeds in the universe, no two eggs are the same. In fact, out of the 300 million eggs that are released, I'm sorry, sperm that is released, you're the only one that merges with the egg and the fallopian tube and the uterus. There may be 3,000 sperms in the fallopian tube fighting to get to that egg. And you know what's interesting at that level in nature? The person who's supposed to, the sperm that's supposed to connect with that egg is the only one that doesn't die in that acidic river around the uterus. So what does that tell you? That the creator creatrix specifically designed you to be an individual, okay, that will use, again, I'll go to one of you because the reality is most of the knowledge that our people have come from the scriptures. That's a reality. For us to deny that would be crazy. Okay. So we're not going to deny that fact. What we're going to do is we're going to have to break this down and look at it in terms of how we are going to solve the issues facing Black people and Black children in particular. Because just because you don't focus on that, there are others that are planning their destruction. Why? Because this is the real spiritual warfare. Okay? This is the real spiritual warfare, not this we're fighting against Satan or, you have not received the Holy Ghost and all this stuff. That is not, okay, what our issue is. I remember there was a time if someone said that you didn't receive the Holy Ghost or the Holy Spirit, that you were not truly connected, which is, when you think about some of this stuff, man, it's really crazy. It's wild. But somehow we have accepted this as truth. But that if you're not connected, say, or if you haven't received the Holy Spirit or Holy Ghost based on whatever definition or criterion they use, then you are somehow not in the higher echelon of those that are connected to the creator, creatrix spirit, which to me is really crazy when you think about it. Nothing in nature supports that theology, nothing in nature. Um, Again, we have these concepts that have been given to us by people who have studied our cultures from antiquity. Now, there is certain knowledge that only people with an open pineal gland have access to. And this is why this concept was turned around on you, saying that you needed to have something in between you and source energy or the creative creatrix spirit. Because if you have a calcified pineal gland, then it is impossible for you to receive certain spiritual energy in the universe. Okay? You can take that for what it means to you. But the fact of the matter is that you don't know who you are. And because you don't know who you are, we are suffering. Like we're going to fall with the system that you have idolized and worshiped. You're going to fall with that system. And again, I want to say to our people that yes, we were put in a socioeconomic position where we will always have to fight from the bottom up. Um, we know that the wealth of white families is, I think it's like 265 times uh, higher than the average black family. This is insane. You cannot. So when you talk about equality, and religion plays a big part in this, but when you talk about equality, you're not dealing with reality. Do you know what type of statement that you're making when you say that you want to be equal with the dominant culture? Do you know how long it would take for you to amass 265 percent equality economically? So we have to start looking at things in a practical way. And the last thing I want to say about this is if this religion that you have sold everything out for, our culture, our sometimes our mates, our relationships, that you sold everything out for our children, and you're telling them if they are not this, have this religious ideology and theology, that they are somehow not worthy of your love. This is something that we have to change. So, brother Lance, I gotta close here, brother. And again, I thank everybody in the chat room. I thank brother Lance for this tremendous opportunity to speak with you, and I will be looking to stay engaged with you guys moving forward.
Please do, brother. Please do. This was phenomenal.
All right, brother Lance.
Yes.
Well, I'll be
Will
in
you?
touch, brother. Keep up the great work.
Yes. Thank you so much, brother. Hit me up and let's do some regular pieces. We need you.
Okay, I will.
Okay. Thank you so much,
All
brother.
right, all right, brother. Thank you. Peace.
Much love, brother. Peace.
Okay. Okay, hold on. Oh, thank you.
That was
Yeah, I was doing my taping.
Okay, I don't think he
Oh.
gonna take this this off. Yeah. Okay, because I'm operating through the phone, y'all, so it's just going to take a little time to get everything just right. Okay, I think I got him off of the stream. And since I'm on the phone, I can't bring the fancy bells and whistles like I usually do. I figured something out for tomorrow. But there wasn't the screaming, the shouting, the emotionalism. It was just plain facts broken down in a logical way. You can't whip that, and we need more of that in the world. We need to teach our children more. But I know he put down a whole lot. Remember, we have Positively Angela, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be here. I'll be here working on some stuff to put up after and before. And I'm in high hog heaven doing what I do. So it's a good thing. And tomorrow, at 10 o'clock a.m., we have our show. I haven't created the link for that, but I will. So, hold tight and know that it's coming. We're going to have another great discussion. And even if I doubt if I have any obstacles tomorrow, because I figured certain things out. When you have these things happen and you just don't know what to do at the moment, but you figure it out in time. And so I can say that I figured it all out. So anyway, much love to you all. We will be back 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time with Positively Angela. No doubt. Much love, everybody. Peace.
Why are we called Negroes? Why are we deaf, dumb, and blind? Why is everybody making progress, yet we seem to be lagging so far behind? Why are we mistreated?
This phone is so ghetto. It takes so long to bring
Why
the
are
next
we in
song.
this
Sorry about that,
condition?
everybody.
Stripped of our name, our language, our culture, our God, and our religion. Here in America, all of our religious training has been gotten by the preacher. He has told us of a heaven way up in the sky that we can't enjoy now, but rather after we die. But all of the years that we're living, for us there's nothing but hell, pain, torture, and misgiving. Yet the Bible speaks of a heaven filled with material luxury, which the white man and the preacher has right here, so we see. So, my friend, take it for what it's worth. Your heaven and your